you? An update on my COVID. Yeah, I still have it. I have a sore throat, but I'm not probably going to die. So anyway, thank you for asking. All right, today we're going to talk about Dolly the Sheep. There she is, and you'll maybe remember that she was cloned. And I know, and we'll discuss a lot of the controversy and where we are and where we're going. Okay, Dolly the sheep holds a special place in scientific history as the first mammal to be cloned from an adult somatic cell using the technique known as nuclear transfer. That sounds scary. Here's a detailed look at her story and its significance. We'll talk about how you feel about this and what I'm thinking is happening now. Anyway, the process of cloning Dolly began with the removal of a cell from the mammary gland of an adult fin dorsate sheep. Scientists at the Roslin Institute in Scotland, led by Ian Wilmot and Keith Campbell, then took an egg cell from a Scottish black-face ewe. Now that's E-W-E. I'm saying ooh, but you know, ooh. It could be not exactly the way you pronounce it, and removed its nucleus, which contains the genetic material. The nucleus from the mammary cell was then inserted into the egg cell, creating a hybrid cell. Hybrid, as you know, means kind of like you put 1 and 1 is 2. 2 is the hybrid of 1 and 1. So maybe that's not even a good way of saying it, but it's new and hopefully improved. This hybrid cell was then stimulated to divide by an electric shock. Boy, I'll tell you, I give him credit for doing this stuff, tricking it into behaving like a newly fertilized zygote. Once it began developing into an embryo, it was implanted into the uterus of a surrogate mother, another Scottish blackface ewe. Dolly was born on July 5th, 1996, and her existence was announced to the public in 1997. You can imagine them sitting all around a table, and maybe Dolly sitting at the table too, but they're like, ooh boy, we know we're gonna get a lot of good stuff, bad stuff. Let's put it off for a little while. Let's get through the holidays. Anyway, her birth proved that specialized cells could reprogram to create an entirely new organism. This breakthrough had profound implications for biology and medicine, suggesting the possibility of new ways to produce medicines and even clone endangered species. Now that's a good concept. I know some would say you're playing God. Yeah, I get it. But, you know, like with anything, and I say to 24, my wife, there's always good things and bad things. You just have to weigh the balance of, hopefully there's more good things than bad things. But as we talk through this, you'll see that this was not a bad idea. understanding some of the implications. However, Dolly also sparked widespread debate and concern over the ethics of cloning, leading to various regulatory and moral discussions about limits of genetic science. Okay, Dolly lived a normal life in the confines of the Roslin Institute. In 2001, it was discovered that she had developed a form of lung cancer common in sheep, which was not necessarily related to her being a clone. Now, we know a lot of people would argue the reason why she got cancer was because of that. We'll never know. She was euthanized on February 14th in 2003 to prevent her from suffering. And, you know, I certainly don't like to see any animal, you know, suffering at all. Okay, Dolly's legacy continues to influence science, particularly in the fields of stem cell research and regenerative medicine. Her creation paved the way for further research into cloning technologies, including the development of induced pluripotent stem cells, which are adult cells genetically. And they're reprogrammed to an embryonic stem cell-like state. I mean, I give them credit for the science here. And you certainly wouldn't want having it where things get out of hand. But I think they did a good job. They announced it. They submitted all their findings. They didn't hide things. Anyway, Dolly remains a symbol of scientific achievement and the ongoing ethical debates surrounding cloning technology. Her impact on both science and society continues to resonate, illustrating both the potential and the complexities of cloning and genetic manipulation. Now, my personal feeling on this, she didn't know she was a clone, and she had a relatively good life. So we're not going to say, well, that certainly was a disaster. The one side point is that, at least from outward appearance, they don't generally clone regularly or where people are going to know what's going on. I did hear that Barbara Streisand, and I get this, my little Jamie, she's 9 years old. If I had a chance to clone her when she was becoming unwell, I would actually have to consider it. And not that you sit there and go, I want the same exact dog I had for, let's say, 10 years. But there must be, and as I did say, Barbara Streisand cloned her dogs, from what I understand. I wouldn't, how would you say, make sure or say that absolutely, absolutely. What my feeling is, in general, is that cloning is done under the table now. In other words, if I was to say I want to clone Jamie, probably could never afford it, but if I was to clone Jamie, I don't know if I would publicize it too much, because you know how people can be very mean and accusatory of where they're saying you did something very wrong. On the other side of the coin, if I was able to have another Jamie for another 10 years, I'll take it. And that's just me. And again, you could put 10 people in a room and some of them would go, absolutely not. Others would say, more the merrier. I mean, that's what's lucky about the opportunity we have in this country is freedom of choice. And we're trying to make sure that stays that way. Anyway, you know, again, I'm not up to myself, but as I've said before, the show must go on. And please ask any questions about Dolly. And if you actually have done anything, I mean, it'd be nice to hear in the comments if you're going to say, hey, I did clone my dog, my cat. I think we're not at a level of where we can clone a human being. That's a little bit scary. And I do expect that that will happen someday. But we all have to make sure we do the best we can. I want to thank you today. And I hope you are all okay. And I will look forward to the opportunity tomorrow to see you again. And hopefully I'm going to start feeling better. I got to be honest, COVID is weird in that it seems to never go away. And as I mentioned yesterday when I was talking about COVID, we have the issue of, like the flu virus, it goes dormant more or less when it starts getting warm. June, July. And I wouldn't sit here and say, oh, it's not as hot this year as it was last year. Well, unfortunately, every year since 2014 is warmer than the year before. And I know this is where we're going to get into climate change and what have you, but the recognition is our world is changing in a lot of different ways. But I want, again, thank you, stay well, and hopefully I will see you tomorrow. And again, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Take care.